Hey, what's up guys? Hope you're all doing well. I wanted to make this video and talk about a few shoe terms or terminology within the shoe community that can be confusing or just not extremely clear. This is something I've really meant to start doing more frequently, just haven't really found the opportunity or the excuse until now. This is an article from Jesper of the Shoegazing Blog, and this provides the perfect foundation for me to build off of. So I figured let's jump in, talk about some of these terms, and provide some additional context and value where I see fit or where I think I can do it. There's a lot of great information on the blog in general, so definitely check that out and keep an eye on it. Let's start with this first one, which is the chiseled toe, a general term that isn't as obvious as some of the other toe shapes like a round toe or an almond toe. Those are just self-explanatory as far as it's the shape of an almond or it's a round shape. With a chiseled toe, this is often confused with a square toe, and understandably because a lot of times they're used interchangeably. Whether that's right or wrong, I'll leave that for another time. What a chiseled toe classically is referring to is the actual two-dimensional shape from two angles here. So if we look at the chiseled toe, it's this angle here on the sides as well as the top down one right here, kind of from where the medallion is down to the edge where the welt is. What makes it chiseled are these strong angular corners on the actual toe, looking like it was crafted with a chisel. The other dimension of this, and I'll use some of my own examples here, is when you look at it from a profile or a silhouette, is from the top of the toe right here, kind of where this plane is down here, how sharp that slope is. The sharper or the more angular in slope that is, the more chiseled the toe is. Now, the chiseled toe can be built on a round toe, a square toe, or an almond toe. It's not specific to the foundational shape. It's specific to the additional characteristics and aesthetics that are built onto that shape. Next, let's talk about the elongated toe. These both go hand in hand. They're both referring to the shape of the last, specifically the toe shape. So you're going to have a much longer toe on an elongated last, but the proportions of the rest of the shoe will remain consistent and the physical size will be consistent as well. Elongated toes or an elongated last is referring to the fact that this last has been there's extra room added to the last, and that's elongating the shape and the aesthetic, but it's not actually providing more fitting room for your foot. This is a really valuable differentiation that Jesper is providing here. Basically, what's the difference between like made to measure and bespoke? This is really important because you definitely want to know what you are shopping for, what you're purchasing, and if the value exists for what you need and what you want. Bespoke is kind of starting from the ground up. They're basing everything off of your actual foot. Those measurements, they're not using any type of existing structure to build that off of. With made to measure, they're taking an existing last, either something that's available in their ready-to-wear collection or a stock last from a last maker, and modifying that to fit your exact measurements. It really depends on what physical characteristics you need in a custom shoe, in a bespoke shoe or a semi-bespoke shoe, and whether you have the budget or the attention span to kind of last that entire process. Now, I want to cover two aspects around fit. This is the instep and the width. Instep, when you look at the anatomical shape of your foot, or just physically like where is the instep located, this picture covers it. It's the top of your foot, basically the part that goes underneath the facing or the lacing of the shoe. The instep is often talked about kind of hand in hand with the arch, and it's understandable because basically when you change the size of the arch, the height of it, how long the arch is, it's going to have a direct impact on how the instep fits. Doesn't necessarily mean that every shoe that has a high arch also has a generous instep or vice versa. It's just that those two are connected as far as if they were to change how wide the arch is, you would feel that in how snug the instep fits. The obvious question is, how does that connect to the width of the shoe? And I'll tell you here. Just like all of the other measurements that we've talked about, or all of the other aspects of the shoe that we've talked about, it's not a linear measurement, even though it's often represented that way. The shoe, as well as your foot, is a three-dimensional, physical feature. When you look at that, if you change one linear measurement from the width, you would think, okay, that's either now a narrower or a wider shoe. And it's possible. More likely, when you look at the width of the shoe, it's made up of a number of characteristics of the laster of the shoe, which are the volume of the vamp, the instep, how wide or narrow the insole is that the entire shoe is built on. All of those specific measurements come together to determine how much usable room or how much fitting space exists within that shoe. That's really important to understand, because when you are talking to a shoemaker or having them modify the fitting of a shoe, that's going to impact the fit everywhere else. It's not just a series of linear measurements that are independent of each other. If you modify one without taking that into account, it's going to impact how the shoe fits throughout the rest of the key measurements and just the rest of your foot. Hopefully you guys enjoyed this, or at least found it helpful in getting some additional clarification, some additional physical representations, both from Jesper's article as well as my video, to help clarify any confusion around the terms, or at least just set a standard basic of facts or understanding of what these terms mean. I'll share the link for Jesper's article in the description below. If you haven't read the article or just checked out his blog in general, I definitely recommend that. He covers a lot of great topics and really shares a lot of news about the shoe community much earlier than you may otherwise find out about it, which is great. Let me know if you have any questions or if there are any particular topics you didn't see in his article or my video. I'll be happy to answer those in the comments below or make an entire video about it. Thanks for watching. Hope you're all doing well. See you next time.